Kim. How are you?
Hi, Rose. It's great to see you. How are you doing today?
Good to see you. I'm good. Welcome to another episode of Casting Notes from Rose and Kim. That's Kim Swanson. She's a casting director in Los Angeles, and I'm Rose Rosen, a casting director in Florida. What's new?
Oh, just working, the usual story, knows the grindstone. I did an interesting audition this past week that I thought was fascinating because we did voiceover. And I felt so bad for the talent because the dialogue, it was like, holy run-on sentence. Like, I don't know how the client thought anyone could do this, but and it's just amazing how many actors think, oh, I've got a great voice, I can do voiceover, and that's just not the case. Yeah, it's true.
Not the case, but I do have somebody who could talk to us a little about that.
Yes.
And I think we have a special guest, and it's Bob Bergen. Come on up, Bob. Hi.
Hey, ladies, how are you?
It's good to see you, my dear.
Good to see you.
It's been a while. I hate that I haven't got to see you in person during the pandemic. I can't wait for this to be over so we can finally have that dinner.
We need dinner. We need hugs. We need connection. But you know what? We've had this Zoom thing now for the last year that we've had for years before a pandemic, but we just didn't take advantage of it. So we're staying connected.
Right.
We are. Here we
are. If it wasn't for this, we'd all be going crazy. Let's be honest.
I know, right?
And if it weren't for the pandemic, we wouldn't be doing our show.
Right?
Everything has the silver lining.
Everything has, yes, something good about it. No question.
So for those of our audience who aren't familiar with Bob, Bob is most notably famous for being the voice of Porky Pig. And he's been a consistently working voiceover actor. And how many years have you focused on just voiceover now, Bob?
Well, if you're going to include studying, too long. I took my first voiceover class at 14. I got my first agent at 18. And I became a full-time working voice actor at 23. So, wow. But from class to working actor was 9 years. But I've been making a living at this solely at voiceover since 1987.
Incredible. So you are the current voice of Porky Pig. I think I remember Mel Blanc was the first voice of Porky Pig. Were you the next one, or were there some in between? And tell us about your journey there just a little bit.
Actually, Mel Blanc's son Noel did it before I did. And there have been other actors besides me to do them. And there always will be, because I don't have a contract. I mean, none of us own the characters. My name is not Warner, and I have no brothers. So I'm going to hire when they want me. But I think I've done them about 90 to 98% of the time. So I've been very fortunate.
And you just said before we got on, you auditioned how many times as you kept this character?
Oh, I think I'm up to at least a dozen. And are you ready for this? We got a whole bunch of shows on HBO Max right now, 200 plus new shows.
Right. Yeah.
While we're still in production on that, I auditioned for a new pilot with the character. I booked it, yay! But I mean, look, this is our job. Our job as actors is to audition, and booking the job is a fortunate circumstance.
If that doesn't speak to that line that we always say, that the job is the audition, I don't know what does. I mean, you've done that character and you still have to audition for it.
You bet. I audition every day of my life. Every day of my life, I have to audition for something.
Tell me something else. Like, how many different, so that's a real specific voice. How many different voices do you think you have? Or is that countless? Or are there, like, do you have a catalog? I mean...
No, but I'll tell you, it's a great question, because during the holidays,
we're all going to play an elf. Everyone's going to play an elf. Hey, Santa, happy holidays. We're going to play an elf. And in about 3 months, that elf is going to become a leprechaun for St. Patty's Day.
The same voice, add an accent. So we all have our stock pile of characters, but based on what they're looking for, the audience, the story, or the intent, you just kind of add layers and you shift. But we all have our stock characters. I've never counted. But I'll regurgitate. I'll repeat them. And
like my elf might become something Southern, like a little Southern character, because that's what they're looking for in the character in the cartoon.
So you just adjust.
Just like any other acting.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Do you still take classes? Do you give classes? Tell us about that.
My workshops are on hold because COVID kind of put those in-person workshops on hold. But when COVID hit last year at this time, my class had a 4-year wait list. So I'm doing Zoom privates now, and I'm really digging it. So I don't know if I'm going to go back to full-time in-person workshops. I only have time for about 2 Zooms a week. So I might just stick to this.
The sound is impressive on Zoom, surprisingly.
And I didn't know if I could connect with the actor as well from machine to machine, but I found that I really actually do a better job of connecting because it's just the two of us as opposed to a whole. And I'm an advocate of classes because I think you learn by watching others. You know, you just absorb little nuggets with a good teacher working with another student. But I've been teaching now for over 30 years, and I'm really enjoying just coming into my office and connecting with a student one-on-one.
That's awesome. So you got started doing a voiceover class, you said at 14. So when you dove in, like, how did you begin and find your first voiceover teacher? And, you know, were you with them for long? Have you, obviously I know you moved from place to place. So I'm guessing you've morphed from instructor to instructor as well. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I'm old, so I don't know if you ladies know this magazine called Dramalog that was around. It's now Backstage, and it became Backstage West. Now it's Backstage, but I just bought myself a Dramalog, and I went and I made a phone call, and I hit the jackpot. There weren't that many voiceover classes back then, but I studied with anybody that offered a class in voiceover. What I found was, after 2 years of voiceover classes, I needed acting technique. So then I went to a Meisner conservatory for 2 years, and I did 3 years of the groundlings, and then I applied all of that back to voiceover for another 2 years. So I realized it's called voice acting for a reason, and I was not a very good actor. I think you are born an actor, by the way. I think you're born as a singer. I think you're born a painter. But what class does is it teaches you those techniques so you can repeat your skills at will consistently. And that's what I needed to learn, is I needed solid technique to be able to repeat my skills.
I love that.
Interesting way to put it. Yeah. You think you need an innate skill, an innate talent in order to then learn more.
You asked if I still study. Yeah, I do. But you know, voiceover has different genres. So if I'm up for like say a promo voice for a network, and I'm on a short list, I might call my agent and say, all right, I want to coach. I want to validate that I'm doing it right, and I want to make sure that my trends are fitting trends today. Right. So I never, no matter where you are in your career, that you're above needing more coaching, because everybody does.
That's so smart. Can you give us some gems for those trying to get in the business or stay in the business? Or I know you have great thoughts.
Sure. Number one, study acting. I said that. When it comes to character work, if you want to do animation like me, it's all about originality and characters. You know, I didn't have this machine that we're talking on right now when I was studying voiceover. If I wanted to find out what a talent agent's roster sounded like, their demos, I would call the agent pretending to be a buyer, and say I was casting something, and they would send me all of their clients, all their actors' demos, and I would listen to the demos of the top agents and go, oh, I need to be better than that. Oh, I need to be as good as that. So today, an actor can go to Atlas Talent, SBV, CESD, DPN, listen to all those actors' demos. That's your competition.
Right.
If you do character work, don't do those same characters. Give them something they don't already represent. And there's no such thing as a good voice or a bad voice. There are only good actors and bad actors. You want to be, the odds of working, if you're a really good actor, are better than those who can just do a billion different voices, but they can't read a script.
Right. That's interesting. And I think that's an interesting point too. I think there's two interesting takeaways. One is that, you know, just because you have a good voice, as I was saying earlier, somebody said, oh, you should be on radio, you have such a great voice, doesn't mean you have the skill set to do this. First of all, you have to understand acting, but you also have to understand voiceover is a different discipline within acting itself. And that requires separate training. Just because you've studied some acting doesn't mean you're ready to dive in to a sound booth and do it well, right?
Well, also, what do you do with that microphone? Do you know how to work a microphone? You know, one of the problems I hear with a lot of new actors trying voiceover is I can hear their space they're reading in. Not that I hear room noise. I can hear an actor reading in a tiny little enclosed booth. Their mind isn't in the script. They're not taking it off the page. If it's a cartoon where it takes place on a spaceship, I don't believe you're on a spaceship. I believe you're standing in a mic reading. Or if it's a commercial, I don't believe that you've got somebody in mind that you're talking to. Just because when you're doing a commercial, you're talking to one person. That one person is the television audience. But in your mind as an actor, you're relating to somebody. Otherwise, you're just reading words.
Oh, that's such a great nugget.
That is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
That's
great.
That is it. That sends me. Lines like that are just perfect. So interesting.
So Bob, you do such a great job of making yourself available. I see you on Zooms with the Television Academy. I see you constantly posting great national Facebook page, and you just really offer yourself, your advice, your experience to other actors, which I love. But I'm curious, if you could go back in time and tell your younger self something that you've learned along the way that would have made the road a little easier for you, what would that be?
You know what? I am a result of every success and every failure. I would say to my younger self, don't change a thing. Stay on that course, because you're going to make mistakes you'll learn from, and it's going to work out. I had wonderful mentors. I had Dawes Butler. I had Casey Kasem. I had Danny Dark, Don LaFontaine. I had people who were no nonsense, who were taskmasters, who were generous. And that's why I spend so much time online talking to young actors. I'm honest. Some people don't want honesty. And I'm honest, but I'm nurturing. But I'm not going to sugarcoat anything that I know that won't get you anywhere. I wouldn't change a thing to my younger self. And I know that sounds kind of almost arrogant.
I love it.
No,
I don't mean
it's the truth. It's the truth. When
That's
we look
my
back, our
answer too.
mistakes help shape us and make us who we are now, just as much as our triumphs, right?
Yeah.
And they're not mistakes; they're called lessons if you bother to learn from them.
Well, it's a mistake if you do it a second time. Listen, I have put my foot down my mouth so many times. Look, when you're a young actor, and I remember early on in my career, I won't mention the casting director's name, but I was curious when the callbacks were, because my family was going on a vacation. So as I'm finished, I said, "Oh, by the way, when's the callback?" And I didn't mean it. Was I good enough for a callback? But Kat called my agent and said, "What an arrogant little blah blah blah."
And I didn't sound that way. Potentially, you could see her angle might have been that, right? It's just, but you were just being honest.
I look back and I'm like, schmuck. Oh, God, why did you do that? But it was really innocent. I didn't mean it.
Right.
We're all people. It's just,
Right.
Yeah.
But I love that someone who has as much success and who is as notable as Bob can look back and say, look what I did when I was younger, what I said, because how many young actors now have beat themselves up because they leave the room and they go, oh, I can't believe I asked that, I said that, right? And so it's not the end of your career, it's a lesson.
Well, ladies, how many times, and I can speak for myself, I think I'm speaking for every actor, I'll have an audition and I'll leave that audition thinking, I am God's gift to acting. That was the best. I just connected. and 2 weeks later, 2 weeks later, not even a callback.
No.
Or I'll do the audition where I'll call my agent afterwards and say, I think I want to go into mime. I just don't have it. I mean, today was and she'd be like, well, that's fine, but you booked it and it's Friday. Oh, don't try to figure this out.
There is nothing, you cannot figure out what's happening on the other side. There's so many variables. I can't even tell you who's getting the job,
But you do know, when you see an actor you believe in, that if the buyer doesn't pick them,
I'm going to get them back.
Most actors think it's you ladies who does the picking. You don't necessarily do the picking, but if you love that actor, you think to yourself, it's a matter of time, and I just got to find the marriage.
Right. We give people opportunities, and you do what you want with that. And if the opportunity, and we see what you did, and it was great, we're going to have you back. And
also what I tell my is, don't go to an audition trying to please the casting director. Be available to their direction and their adjustments, but go in there, make a solid choice. Wow them. But if you're not right for it, you are right for that moment, for the next thing. It's an insurance policy for the next thing.
Right. Yeah.
Great.
I like solid choice a little better than bold choice. They're using that word a lot lately. I prefer yours.
I do too.
I use bold too. I just want the actor to give themselves permission to make a choice. The only bad choice an actor can make is by not making one.
Right. And they get into that space and it's quite difficult. Don't get me started.
One day when we can all get together over cocktails, boy, are we going to tell stories.
We can tell stories then.
Yeah,
but in the meantime, thank you for coming. You've been amazing. I hope you come back and see us again. And I hope everybody likes and subscribes and
hit that notification bell.
There you go.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.